Hello, everybody. We have
Hello.
Hello.
our normal comic review going on today. We have three comics, but we're going to break this up into three different videos. So please, if you want to see all three, go and visit all three. Uh, what does this guy want? Sorry, someone at my front door. I think it's part of the blind box that's getting delivered.
Cool.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Spider-Man: Spider's Shadow.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I've got that here.
A bit
Got
of a
it?
creepy cover.
Yeah, very creepy.
I didn't realize until I started reading it that they refer Spider's Shadow refers to Venom or the symbiote. Uh,
Right.
it's not Venom yet. Uh,
Yeah, the cover makes a lot more sense once you once you get into it,
yeah.
which is pretty rare for comics, I think.
And
Normally I don't think back to the cover, but this one I did.
I actually didn't like this comic until I got to the last couple pages. Because it
Yeah,
all started
I'm
making
with you.
sense.
I can see that, yeah. Did you read the intro on the first page,
No.
part 1 of 4? This little paragraph?
Oh,
No.
It gives a
No.
nice overview of of what is going to happen, and so I was sort of expecting the ending
Oh, I
on how
see.
they set it up.
I completely jumped past this page just figuring it was one of those like, here's the editor, here's the artist, here's the writer, and I was like,
Well,
okay.
and the next screen does. I mean, the next page does not help.
Hello,
mean this
Peter.
page?
Oh,
Yeah.
hurry, Peter.
Yeah.
This is
Hurry.
it looks
Peter.
like my iPad is off.
Hey.
Oh, look, you can see us.
Yeah,
yes,
I better
Murray.
stop doing that.
The people watching this can see the comic.
Oh, that's right. You're not
Well-
sharing it, but they can see it.
yeah.
But I'm showing you what I see.
Why are you reading the Spanish version? Oh, because you're reading Home.
No me
Okay,
gusta.
let's So let's talk about this comic. Any comments about this?
Yeah,
comic?
yeah. I'm with you in the. I didn't. I don't. I don't think I was enjoying this until the last few pages, and it kind of wrapped it up together. And then I had a different view of it. A couple things I thought were just strange from a. I'm a person. If I was doing this, I would have a different reaction. Like when I think this is Mary Jane shows up at his place,
Yeah.
and he's like wakes her up from the nightmare or whatever, and it's MJ, and like she picks up the suit, and it's like weirdly squiggly, like blobby. She is way less concerned
right.
than I would be. She's like, "What is this even made out of?" And it like wiggles out of her hand and like tries to grab her from the chair, and she's just like, well, I guess that's what it is. That was odd. Like, yeah, that was strange.
It's very like, where'd you find this jellyfish?
Right. And I knew this was going to be different when he had his interaction with the goblin.
Sure.
Like he has kind of a normal-ish fight with Goblin, and then is just like, you know what? I'm done with you.
Yeah.
And it kind of called back for me. We've talked recently about the comics where Doc Ock has taken over Spidey. Because he swaps, and then he realizes how strong Spider-Man is and how he has to hold back to not kill people.
Right.
And so just how worried I was for Goblin at this point where he's just like, you know what, I'm kind of done, and he like takes his mask and he punches him in the face.
Yeah.
And so interesting. Black Cat showed up at one point with the makeup on the
line, the
the
mascara line around her face. This protects me. I thought this was interesting because it does kind of follow how Venom or the symbiote was when Spider-Man first got introduced to it.
Okay.
Where it kind of made him more aggressive. He kind of enjoyed it because he didn't have to do webbing cartridges anymore. It was all organic.
Right.
So he actually viewed it as a really good thing. What's different is that they didn't introduce the Fantastic Four into the storyline. And I don't think he had a relationship with the Black Cat going on.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I liked about the suit,
Yes.
which, it's like, okay, I get it. There's a symbiote. It's kind of just waiting on the chair for him
Yeah.
until he needs it. But when he's out at night, he was able to change his look.
Yes.
Page 7, or I think. It like started to change into the regular Spider-Man costume.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I can change the look." And I thought back, has this happened before? Not that I remember. Maybe
Not
it has.
in our generation's comics.
Okay, so I thought that was
yeah.
awesome. That it sort of was like, oh, hey, if you want to look normal, hey, just keep me around.
So I don't know
that.
if you know the story behind why they did away with the black Spider-Man suit back when they first brought it. I think I had to talk to Rob about this, but
Yeah, we talked.
maybe
a
it was
bit.
in our chat. So maybe you saw.
You mean why it went to Eddie Brock?
Yeah, it was introduced as a new suit. People hated it, and they hired this new kid to do some art for them. His name was Todd McFarlane.
Oh,
and he absolutely hated drawing the black suit. Even though he has one of the more famous Spider-Man black suits covers. And so they did away with it. And then the story kind of led that way anyways, but pretty much before they even showed it, they knew they wanted to get rid of it.
I see.
Oh, wow.
So this,
it didn't really last that long with Spider-Man. It went pretty fast to Eddie Brock, and then they kind of went on from there as far as I remember, and that's why it was always fun to revisit the story.
Yeah.
Whenever there was a new version of Spider-Man and the symbiote showed up, it's like, oh, let's see what's going on here, because it really wasn't around that long.
Yeah, and I think that's what these two pains are about, kind of going, hey, don't worry, he can look... I mean, Spider-Man now, thanks to particularly the video games, has 1,000 suits.
Right.
So this kind of helps that too, right? Like, oh, you need to be stealth Spider-Man now.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yes.
I just liked that. And he says, well, I guess, why didn't he keep that suit? It's like, well, I guess I can go back to that if I want a more friendly and neighborhood look. It's like, so he doesn't actually want this. He likes the fear that the symbiote suit brings.
Yeah, and just like the first symbiote story, once he visits the Fantastic Four, which was interesting.
It felt weirdly unneeded.
It was really the Fantastic Two,
He needed someone to tell him, because this is what happened back 30 years ago. Hey, your body has been fused with the symbiote. Understand that this is high stakes. And Spider-Man had a lot to do with the Fantastic Four. I thought Johnny was very badly represented as the Human Torch, but Mr. Fantastic kind of seemed a little better. And it probably helps that there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out at some point, so they're trying to introduce them more and more into the comics.
It was also
they were like
interesting
weirdly blacklisted for a while.
Yeah,
because
because of how bad their movies were. Or?
No, well, yeah, and basically Marvel was trying to get the rights back, so they tanked them in the comics so that they wouldn't be popular.
So there's 3 Fantastic Four movie series. The first one was a Russian company that was trying to keep the licensing for Fantastic Four because they thought they owned it or something.
Okay.
And they made this movie. And to date, they made it on like literally $50,000. Right? Can you imagine a thing on $50,000? To date, it's the best Fantastic Four movie. It's actually
really?
a fantastic movie. It's a really, really good movie.
Would you give it a Fantastic 4 out of 5?
Yes.
Heck yes.
The best score Marcel's ever given anything.
I know. Okay, so this comic did have issues.
Sure.
It's an issue of a comic.
Uh-huh.
I thought that the person that was drawing this was still learning to draw women.
There is actually one panel that stood out to me in what you're talking about. It's the silhouette of them
Agreed.
standing close.
Where the butt looks like she's
like
got a bag back there.
Yeah, her butt's huge. And then he's like weirdly thin
Proportioned?
and
Yeah.
like weirdly proportioned. Yeah, like
This short legs.
Yeah, I mean, I understand this is supposed to be two people, and they're supposed to be like standing close together, but it wasn't quite right.
Yeah, I think his leg is behind her leg, but it just makes it look like she's got a rhino leg.
And then there's like I think it's the page before that when once again, bottom middle, they're standing kind of close together. Her silhouette's a little strange.
No, that's just how it looks, though.
Yeah. That's
At least it's consistent.
That's what women look like.
Well, that's when you want to put, what is it, a champagne glass there, and you
Exactly.
gotta hold it to something.
You could never really hug her with those proportions. Yes, I agree. I feel like he drew it, and then someone complained about the butt size, and he like added on more.
Someone's like, maybe there needed to be a little more.
Badonk-a-donk. But even the picture of her face and the same one as the black silhouette, there's wrongness there. Like the mouth is super small to be open. The forehead, we have big foreheads in our generation, but that's a little big. It's weird that our eyes are the same color as the skin. So, I don't know.
Yeah, there was things here and there.
But let me say this. This is the best Spider-Man comic we have read as part of this series of being
reviews
horrible to comics.
Of being angry at comics all the
time. Yeah. I like how what I would call feminized Spider-Man, like when he's really evil, his face looks like a skeleton.
Like on I think it's the second to last page.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that now.
I
think that's where it kind of twisted. It twisted my. What did I say in our chat? I think I said something like it was kind of a new spin on this for me, because even though obviously we've seen Spider-Man go through the black suit arc before, but this was kind of a new wow, that's really bad. This is this is not good.
This is so that 4-year-old or 10-year-olds would understand that this is bad.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. I got the impression that he crushed his head, and that's what happened here, looking at the last page and the last panel where it's weirdly dripping. Not weirdly dripping. I guess if his head was crushed. It's not weird.
Right,
but,
sure.
And even the I have the power, and his eyes are crazy there.
Yeah.
Very very different.
Yeah, I believe that this kills Hobgoblin.
Yes.
Because the last frame, that's not a tree trunk, that's a pool of blood coming from his head.
Right. Yeah. He's in bad shape. Even if he had a tree that was growing up into his face, he'd be in bad shape.
Right.
But pretty sure that's blood. Yeah. I'll
Definitely
read the next
interesting.
one.
What's that?
I'll read the next one.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
I thought this was pretty good. What about
Killed
you,
Aunt
Mur?
May, apparently. That's something.
Yeah, so nobody's safe in this storyline, but I think that's
Yeah.
the point. Is we know this story as Peter got rid of the symbiote suit and what happened from there, and this is asking the question, what if he kept it? And we see it just go downhill super fast.
Yeah. It was interesting that they introduced his lack of fire detergent or detergent.
His hate of fire.
Yeah.
That's right.
Where he's basically like, no, we can't go back in there. Fire bad.
Fire bad. Okay, so I would read the next one. I'm cautiously giving this a 3.5 out of 5. Which, as you know, is pretty good. I'm looking forward to Mary Jane being murdered by him.
Seems like the next logical step.
In the comics 30 years ago, whatever, part of Peter Parker getting rid of it was that Mary Jane was so afraid of it that she wouldn't sleep. So, I'm hoping she gets murdered.
I will... I'll go with you on your 3.5 journey. I was trying to think of whether I wanted to give this a 4 or not, but I don't think it quite. I think what pushes it back to 3.5 for me is, like I said, I don't think I enjoyed this comic until it got to the end.
Yeah.
And that pushed it back for me.
So I also am in that same boat, 3.5, but it would have been a 4 if the art style blew me away. Because I read that intro paragraph and I enjoyed the whole comic, but I did zoom in, or if it were a real comic, I would have looked real closely.
Took out your magnifying glass.
And they have this like weird, I don't know if it shows up here, but weird like speckle that they like throw on stuff, and it's like everything else is super clean and specific, and then they've got this kind of speckle work. And it's like there's just oddities in the design style that's like, okay, I get it. It's a comic. You can have it whatever design you want. But it didn't feel as Spider-Man-y as I expected it to feel. But I enjoyed the story going through it and seeing how it ended.
It's definitely a strange combination of hand-drawn and computer-generated.
Right, yes. You get the feeling of the both.
Where it would have been very hard to do that speckle effect back in the day. And now it's like, oh, I pushed a button and look how cool the fire looks now.
Right. And it's all this, it really is light. Like, here's another panel on page 25 where he's talking to Aunt May, and like it's a light bulb above him, but they just speckle light over black. Like, and at first it looked like something was wrong with the image. And then I zoomed in at one of the panels. I'm like, oh, that's just kind of how it's done here.
And they do that early on in like the third page. It's like,
yes, I think that's probably where I zoomed in the first time, and then I understood what was going on here. But I think I'll definitely read the next one. I think that's probably the best review you can get.
Yeah, this is like I think you said, this is probably the best Spider-Man comic we've read in these reviews.
And remember, this offsets that other Spider-Man comic that just came out, the Non-Stop.
Oh, yeah.
Very different.
I don't even remember what my review was.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't think I liked that.
This is very different in that it's actually taking its time telling the story versus Non-Stop, where it's like, suddenly bombs came out and ninjas.
Non-stop.
Everyone has to go right now.
Okay, so that's a 3.5. We are going to say goodbye to everyone now. And then we're going to immediately start recording the next one.
Bye, everybody.
All right. See you next time.